we are working through question 5 from the June 2018 paper. And the very first part of this question is asking us to state 3 differences between the properties of an ideal operation amplifier and a real operational amplifier. And they want us to give us typical values for each of the properties stated, right? So the first property that we're looking at is input impedance. And for the ideal operational amplifier, we would want that to be infinite, right? So we want to have an infinite input impedance, but in reality, what we see is that we observe an input impedance of around 10 to the 12 ohms, right? The next property is that the output impedance, right? In the ideal case, we want it to be 0. We want to have a 0 output impedance, but in actuality, what's actually measured is a 100 ohms output impedance, and that's what we have for the real operational amplifier. Now, in the case of open loop gain, so that property, for the ideal operational amplifier, that would be infinite, right? But in the real case, what we see is an open loop gain of around 10 to the 5, and that's for direct current signals, okay? All right. So that's that for 6 marks. We've listed 3 properties, and we stated how they are in the ideal case and how they are in the real case. And so we'll be good for that 6 marks right there, okay? So moving right along, they're showing us this input, right, to the circuit shown in figure 6. This is the waveform is shown in figure 7, right? So this is the waveform for the input to this circuit that's shown here. And this circuit that's shown here is an inverting amplifier, right? So that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at an inverting amplifier, right? And we know that because we see that the V-in goes towards the inverting node, which is minus here. Some other features that we want to take note of on this circuit is that the non-inverting node, right, is grounded, right? So the voltage there would be 0 because it's earthed, so that would be 0. And then we also want to note that this would be our virtual earth, that there's also 0 voltage at this point that goes into the inverting node, right? We also want to make note of the fact that this is a feedback. There's a feedback going on here, and so we have a RF, a feedback resistance of 10 kilo ohms, and our input resistance is 1 kilo ohms, and of course we have our output here. And then finally, we want to make note of our power supply voltage, right? So on the upper end, that power supply voltage is plus 10 volts, and on the lower end, it's negative 10 volts. And that's very important to take note of, okay? Because that's gonna pretty much set the bounds on what our output voltage can be. Okay, so again, this down here is the input waveform. So this is what the waveform for the input signal that we're putting in looks like. Okay, so now that we've seen all the information here, let's scroll down to part C or part I, sorry, of that, which is asking us to sketch and label the important features of one period of the output waveform, right? So they want us to draw the output waveform. All right, so in order to go from an input waveform, put that input into our amplifier and then ultimately get that output waveform, there's certain parameters or variables that we have to know, right? So first of all, from looking at the graph, we know what the period is, so we know what time frame we're drawing between, right? So from looking at this first plot, we can see that we have one complete cycle in 2 milliseconds, right? So we have up, down, up again. That's one period. So that's 2 milliseconds. So our period is 2 milliseconds. So we've noted that here. Then next, what we want to calculate is the gain of this inverting amplifier. And the formula to do that is minus the resistance of the feedback resistance divided by the input resistance, right? And so they told us that up here that the feedback resistance was 10 kilo ohms and the input resistance was 1 kilo ohm, right? So we just plug those values into this formula for gain of an inverting amplifier and we get -10, right? So we get -10 for our gain, right? So it was important for us to find the gain because that's now going to enable us to calculate the value of our peak output voltage, right? So to do that, to get that peak output voltage, remember they want us to come up with an output waveform. So once we get the peak output voltage by multiplying the gain, which we just calculated, by the peak input voltage, we'll get that peak output voltage, which ends up being -10 times 0.2, because it was 0.2 here. That was our peak input voltage, right? Peak input voltage is there. And they want us to find the peak output voltage that corresponds to that. So we did that. To do that, we did gain of the amplifier times the peak input voltage, and we ended up with -2 volts, right? So what's happening essentially is we're taking this input, we're putting it in our amplifier, and on the other end, what's coming out is -2 volts, right? So we're putting in 0.2 volts here. We're running it through this inverting node, right? Essentially, and it's coming around here, and we're gonna end up outputting what? We're outputting -2 volts because our gain is of 10, right? So the gain is 10. Just a little visual there for you. The gain is -10. So we take our amplitude or our peak input voltage of 0.2, we put it through here, which is our inverting node. We have a gain of -10, so we essentially are multiplying that 0.2 by that -10, and we get -2, right? So that's in the first case where we have a peak voltage of 0.2 volts. So that's why we end up with -2 volts, right? Okay, so because it's an inverting amplifier, right? You notice that our waveform for our input was like this, going up and then coming down and up again. So because it's an inverting amplifier, that will be inverted. So we have to make sure that we invert it, right? And our maxima and minima are observed here. And in this case, our minima will be the -2 volts, right? At t is equal to 0. At t is equal to 0, we have 0. And then at this halfway point, so this would be what, 0.5 milliseconds, we're going to have that -2 volt. We come back up all the way to hit that maxima of +2 volts, and then we come back down to complete the cycle, right? So we don't really need this piece. So we're good with this. So this is one waveform. This is in one period, okay? Remember that period was 2 milliseconds, right? So that's what we do there, our maxima and our minima. We get that from the peak output voltage, and we have to invert. We have to invert the waveform from what it was before when we fed it in, because we fed it into an inverting amplifier, right? So that's why I'm showing the opposite waveform here, right? The inverted waveform. Okay, so moving on to part 2, we're going to do something similar, right? Now our peak amplitude or peak input voltage is 2.04 volts, right? So if I go back up here, now I'm changing this to 0.2 volts. So let me just erase this one. So I'm changing from 0.2 volts, right, for my input, for my peak input voltage, and I'm changing that now to 2.0 volts. And again, my gain is the same because it's the same -10/1 to calculate the gain. So my gain is still -10. And so in this case, what I will get from my output voltage, my peak output voltage, won't be 2 volts anymore. It will be actually 20 now. It will be -20, right? Because my gain is -10. So I'm going to get -20 volts for my output. So again, I'm putting in a peak input voltage of 2.0 volts. I'm putting it in an inverting amplifier. I'm having a gain of -10 for this from this amplifier. So when I do 2 times the -10, I'm gonna get -20 volts, right? All right. So let's scroll back down. And so this is just the same, saying how I did the calculation. The peak output voltage is equal to the gain of -10 times 2, which is my peak input voltage, and that gives me -20 volts. So again, I have to invert the waveform from what it was originally, right? So this is the inversion that we see, is that we have a inversion from what we had initially. But the key feature to note here is that even though I calculated an output voltage of -20 volts when this is my peak input, I can't show that on the graph, and we don't observe that in practice. And that's because, remember when we looked at this circuit, we said that the power supply voltage sets the maximum output voltage that you can get. Yeah, so the maximum output voltage that we can get is 10 volts, right? We're not going to be able to get this 20, so we're not going to see this 20 volt because the amplifier is going to get saturated essentially, and it's going to be limited by what the power supply voltage was, which was +10, between -10 to +10, right? So even though that's my calculated peak output voltage, when I draw my sketch of the waveform, I have to top out at 10 volts, and I have to start from -10 volts, right? I can't reach the -20 because of my power supply that's limiting me, okay? So I'm showing this inverted waveform and the peak being clipped in this region here. I come up and the peak is clipped again. So if I compare it to what I have up here, I see that the peak is now clipped, right? And the peak is clipped here, and that's because the amplifier gets saturated and I can only go as high as my power supply. So the key features here, peak, this is our maximum, this is our minimum, this is our period, it's 2 milliseconds. We show the inversion of the waveform from what we had in the beginning, which was this, right? So we show the inversion here by starting here and then going down and then coming up. And we show the inversion here as well, and that's more clear to see, right? So up, down, and then in this case, we're down, up, right? So those are the key takeaway. You have to show an inverted graph. You have to show your maximum and your minimum, right, range for your output voltage. And you have to show one period, right? So that's what we're showing here. Okay. So then now, for part C, they're asking us to state the value of voltage at pin 2 in figure 6 on page 22. And state one reason why it has this value. So let's go back up and look at it. So this is our plot. So on the plot, again, we said that this, right, this was 0 volt, so that V plus at this node, right, it's 0. So it has to be 0 here as well because we want the potential difference across these two nodes to be 0. And so because this one is grounded, then this one also has to be 0. And we call that virtual earth, right? So this one has a voltage of 0. And this one is going to also be 0 volts. And we call this part virtual earth, right? So that point, that pin 2 is what we call virtual earth, right? So again, both of those voltages have to be 0. Well, both of them have to be equal. And because we know that this one is 0 because it's grounded, we know that this one has to be 0 as well, okay? So that's our answer for that part. So let's scroll back down and see what else they were asking us. Yeah, so they're asking us the value of the voltage at pin 2, and we say that that is 0 volts. Since the potential at the non-inverting terminal is also at earth potential, the potential inverting terminal has to be 0 volts, and this has to be so to ensure that the output of the operational amplifier is not saturated, okay? So that's all we have for that question, right? So we just have to make sure that we take a good look, right, at the circuit and the waveform that we're inputting into the circuit. And then I think we should be good from there, right? So the first thing was just to realize that this was a inverting amplifier, and then we can go from there, okay? So that's all for this question, and feel free to drop a comment below if you have any questions about anything and how we arrived at any answers here, and we'll see you in the next video, okay?